If orca-
I am unironically a honey badger. For all of my anxiety, I absolutely will throw hands. The cutest, snuggliest goddamn creature I've ever seen in my life. If not friend. Why friend shape? Honey badgers send these paws rated E for everybody.
if the
Charging the spirit bomb! Hoshi Mewtwo! I am Stellatrix coming at you! Kamehame live from a starship near you! Today we will be perceiving why honey badgers don't fear God or lions by Casual Geographic. So, strap in, strap on, and let's go perceive! Oh no!
honey badgers are the most disrespectful force in nature, and that's putting them over orcas. Because at least when an orca shot puts a seal, you can argue it's just testing a new hunting strategy. But honey badgers will look for negativity in situations where they have nothing to gain. Why would a honey badger test an oryx 10 times its size, get launched only to immediately do it again? Because honey badgers come into the world deciding they don't want peace, they want problems. They don't want compromise, they seek conflict. If orca-
I am unironically a honey badger. For all of my anxiety, I absolutely will throw hands. I don't know how I never got into a fight in school. I was tiny and I wanted to fight everybody. I hoped desperately that somebody else would throw a punch at me because I wanted to fight a but I had a strong rule. I was like, I'm not going to start the fight. I'm not going to instigate the fight. But if you come for me, I'll throw the frick down.
are homicidal sea Oreos, then honey badgers are double stuffed with audacity. If I ever make a list of the top 5 animals with black Air Force energy, honey badgers would be a first ballot choice. But like any kid that acts out in school, to really understand just what makes a honey badger such a one-man hate campaign, you gotta look at its family. When you talk about mammalian carnivores, you can really simplify it into 2 classes, Team Cat and Team Dog. Team Cat would be feliform, which translates to cat-like carnivores, which would obviously include wild cats, but also cats that aren't really cats like hyenas, mongooses like the meerkat, and a bunch of other animals you've probably never heard of.
Hyenas are cat-like?
On the other side is Caniformia, which are the dog-like carnivores. This includes
Dream of canifornication. Dream of canifornication.
dogs,
Sorry.
wild, unhinged dogs, dogs on steroids, smaller but more street-smart dogs, and a special group of water dogs that decided they had enough of the nonsense and disrespect of the dirt world and were going to take their chances out in the ocean.
Same.
Results have been varied. But you also have another family known as the Mustelid squad, and they were kind of in a weird spot. They weren't the biggest, definitely weren't the fastest, not the smartest, and for the most part they're solitary, meaning they rarely have a numbers advantage. So their only real option was to overcompensate the way anyone that overmatched
with audacity.
would, with violence and borderline crackhead.
Oh my god! I really am a freaking chihuahua, or honey badger. Fudge!
Courage. If mustelids like honey badgers ran in groups, they probably wouldn't need the personality of a power tool to survive. Because gang violence may be unethical, but in the wild, it's a way of life. It's the reason African wild dogs are one of the most efficient groups at canceling life subscriptions. Because team play is high-key underrated. Ants are probably the best used social insects in the game, and it's almost scary how well they work together. Led by a queen who can almost check in at the same weight class as a mouse, ant society is built on a hierarchy where everyone has a job. Female ants are workers who can have tasks such as cleaning the eggs and feeding the larvae. Queen ant's job is to supply the ant census with new bodies by constantly spawning eggs, and some species can spit out over 800 in one day.
Oh god, that's
Male
awful.
ants have one job, and it's to supply the queen with baby batter and then exit the census once they fulfill that purpose. They have no rights, no free will, they're basically walking ejac packets.
The queen doesn't have rights
either. If you ever wanted to know just what ant society is like, the Ants Underground Kingdom is a simulation strategy game with millions of players.
I was about to say,
online.
this feels like it's
You
leading
can
up
hatch and
to a
develop your own ant
freaking
army, including rare ones like the
advertisement.
Banshee ant, which is based on an actual insect that isn't really an ant, it's a type of wasp. You can also unlock new buildings like toxic fungi, gorgeous pearl, special
Yep.
and It's like this is in war. Mercilessly back ants under a holiday army of one. Honeybee is the strongest one. But if you're a honey badger, the strongest army is always an army of one. Honey badgers could be the mascots of Mirror Labs because they don't ever give them, they just take them. And when I say it runs in a family, you can tell the honey badger took something from all of their cousins and made it theirs. We're gonna get to those cousins, don't worry. But first we gotta talk about what makes honey badgers such a middle finger to the natural order. First is the fact that they're not indestructible, but damn it, they're pretty close. Honey badger skin is tough and resilient, able to withstand bee stings, snake bites, and brutal maulings that would certainly be a game over for other animals. You could even come at a honey badger with a machete and it could still probably Eurostep any serious injury. There's even reports of these steroid skunks taking down African crested porcupines. The same ones that have about 30,000 good reasons why testing them could be really bad for your health.
I want to see a honey badger go to Australia. Who do you think would win, honey badger or like literally anything in Australia? The emu. Honey badger versus emu. Let's go. Honey badger versus emu. I want to see that. I want to see more Pars do a video. I want to see him do an edit comparing a power level comparison edit on honey badgers versus emus.
On really rare occasions, porcupines have crippled the top-tier lions so badly that hunting humans was their only option. In 1965, after a lion nicknamed the Man-Eater of Darajani was finally put out of commission, it was discovered that it had been gored by a blade beaver, with one of the quills being lodged in its fractured teeth and another one nearly piercing its brain. Maimed and out of options, the starving lion put at least one Kenyan on a t-shirt. That's the kind of carnage porcupines are capable of, yet honey badgers can often survive an encounter with one thanks to their tough skin. The same reason they can square up with snakes and then live to try again. Honey badgers are menaces that have been known to turn deadly serpents like the puff adder and even the black mamba into a purse. Common misconception though is that honey badgers are immune to snake venom. They're not immune, they're much more resistant than other animals.
They're not immune, they just don't care.
Can flatline even a honey badger.
They literally just don't care.
If a honey badger is wounded by a venomous snake, it'll just pass out in an almost coma-like state, only to get up a few hours later and walk it off like a Sunday morning hangover. Another fact is that not only is honey badger skin tough, it's incredibly loose, especially around the neck. So if one's ever being mauled by a big cat, this walking cigar can turn around while being attacked and deliver smoke directly to the face. Honey badgers are furry Duracells and anything—
You can't even scruff this. How are you supposed to kill? Why is nature— why who decided Mother Nature was this sweet, serene, benevolent entity? This is Mother Nature. Mother Nature is metal as
short of a round directly to the skull isn't guaranteed to kill them. This durability is why honey badgers are either brave enough or stupid enough to blatantly steal from top predators, and they usually target leopards. Unlike lions and hyenas, leopards are solitary assassins that hide their prizes high up in the branches where they can't get their pockets picked. The food may be safe from lions, but they're not safe from a malicious equality symbol with nothing to lose. Honey badgers will risk it all by attempting to steal from a leopard by climbing a tree once it steps away from its meal.
Honey badgers sent these paws rated E for everybody.
If the honey badger gets caught in the act, it'll throw a loud temper tantrum, hissing and screaming as it backs away. A method I'm sure
not bigoted.
Their close cousin, the wolverine. The wolverine is a honey badger on
honey badger don't give a shit.
True.
Of the north. And even though they're roughly in the same weight class as a medium-sized dog, tankier predators like bears and mountain lions will occasionally pay food taxes to this walking vibe check. But the thing with wolverines is, they have the strength and speed to catch their own bodies. Wolverines will stalk a potential victim for hours, even days, and there have been reports of wolverines posting up in trees just so they can wait for the right moment to pounce. But
why is everything that is the absolute most effed up in nature the cutest, snuggliest goddamn creature I've ever seen in my life? If not friend, why friend shape?
But why waste the energy or calories doing that when you can just pickpocket a grizzly or clutch a 2v1 versus wolves? And just like the honey badger, wolverines will attack anything with a pulse. Difference is they have the tools to actually stop it. One wolverine put a polar bear in a headline after clamping its vice grip jaws around a struggling bear's throat until it suffocated. There have even been reports of a wolverine dropping a female moose by ripping at its shoulder blades until it eventually tapped out. In comparison, honey badgers have allegedly KO'd units like the Cape Buffalo and Waterbuck. Except the honey badger's methods are different.
Oh, I hate that!
Wolverines are little man syndrome but with bear trap jaws. Even though they might not have superhuman healing powers, they do have rotated teeth. Wolverines are equipped with upper molars rotated 90 degrees inward, meaning they can easily eat a grizzly bear's leftovers even if it's half frozen.
I thought he was going to say
leftovers. Wolverine will
leftovers.
eat every part of an animal right down to the bones. Honey badgers don't have nearly that kind of power, but these prison striped weasels do pack a nasty bite, and they've been seen tearing into tortoises. Wolverine.
I don't understand why everything in nature can't just go vegan. Don't they understand, like, how unethical and unnatural and unhealthy it is? Think of all the hormones and the chemicals that they consume when they viciously rip each other apart like this. I think we should cancel carnivores and make them go vegan.
I said ain't nothing like a good salad. Hey, I'm vegan.
Wolverines have one more secret, and it's that they smell really, really foul. Not only will they use
Breaking everything in nature that hasn't been domesticated smells really, really foul. We literally breed out the foul smelling genes. That's part of the domestication process. Like, foxes smell horrendous. Everything from nature smells horrendous until we breed out the horrendous smell. The horrendous smell only smells horrendous to us. Allegedly. I don't know. I don't have a sense of smell.
Very unnatural for nature to be itself naturally.
Yes! Thank you! I'm so glad that you agree. Gosh, like, buy organic.
Power of liquid booty as a threat. They'll spray the scent over any food they find to make sure no one else touches it.
And
which is why the Wolverine is also nicknamed the skunk bear. Honey badgers also weaponize their south side when threatened or just a
You cannot denature these nuts.
Got him!
annoyed. The honey badger will reverse its anus inside out and release a liquid so vile it can suffocate anything near it.
What the fuck did I just hear? Fellas, is it gay to reverse your anus and squirt your homies with your reverse anus man juice? Like, every word of that is gonna be freaking censored in the video. I'm letting Automod eat that one, Calypso. That's funny. I'm letting Automod keep that one in its pocket, though.
In fact, the smell is so offensive, it can temporarily paralyze attacking bees. It's not hard to see how the skunk bear and the felony ferret pull up to the same family reunion. But you can RSVP the otter to the same function. Otters are considered the most intelligent of all mustelids, and they're a part of the rare group of animals that are able to create and use tools. This one's using a vending machine. In fact, they're so smart that in the 60s, the CIA allegedly tried to weaponize them. I actually made a video on this in an Otter report that was created on my TikTok, so definitely go check that out. They're also an anomaly in that they're one of the rare social mustelids, which should give you mixed feelings. Because yes, sea otters will hold hands while sleeping so they don't float away. Despite my lack of emotion, I find that adorable.
That's so
but
cute.
Otters, especially river otters, will jump anything that enters their territory, from caiman to jaguars to idiots with iPhones. If you want your idea of otters to be completely slaughtered in 10 seconds, Google otter and attack and count how many articles you get. A pack of 20 nearly took a man off the Singapore census permanently. A group of rogue otters drowned a woman's beloved dog as she could only watch. Once upon a time, a monkey wandered into the otter hood of the Bronx Zoo, and the outnumbered monkey paid the toll for his transgressions with his soul. That's really only scratching the surface. I already have an entire video dedicated to the carnage society lets otters get away with, but one fact should really hammer the point home. Sea otters have a violent mating ritual that involves biting his partner's nose pad so hard that he can tear it off while occasionally holding her head underwater. That is not the disturbing part, because frustrated male otters that couldn't find a mate will resort to taking their lack of options out on baby seals. Something they'll continue to do for up to a week.
Why does nature come for the sweet little water puppies. What the frickin' frick? What the frickin' frick?
even after the seal's soul has already evacuated. I mean that in the worst possible way. So in a weird twist, out of these three, otters might have the lowest morality, but to compensate they have the highest intelligence. Don't think honey badgers are just some crayon eaters, they're incredibly smart too. But like the kind of smart that would make them high-class criminals. In an experiment, a honey badger couldn't reach a box of food that was hanging from a branch of a tree. But what would have been a dead end for most animals was only a challenge for him. After a few seconds to carefully weigh his options, the honey badger proceeded to push his crate closer to the hanging box, to the point where he could stand on it to claim his prize. It might not seem like much, but being able to figure this out automatically puts
that's
honey
a big
badgers in the
deal.
highest percentile when it comes to animal intelligence.
That's some
But the
good
best
object
example would be this
permanence.
little guy named Stoffel. Stoffel was a well-known escape artist that would find some of the most creative ways to end his bondage. In one of his many escapes, Stoffel noticed a broom that had been left near him, dragged it over to one of the corners of his enclosure, leaned it against the wall, and then used it to emancipate himself.
Oh my
They
god!
tested his skills with a gate,
The person running.
Stoffel and then used it to emancipate himself.
The appropriate that is the appropriate response to a honey badger escaping its enclosure.
They tested his skills with a gate, and Stoffel the Black Air Force managed to undo the latches of the lock. They then put him in
You
a
were
cell
not keeping
surrounded by
that thing
cement
behind a
walls.
chain link
Take a wild
fence.
guess what this little weasel did. Stoffel dug up a bunch of rocks, and when he had enough, he piled them in a corner and Andy Dufresne himself. One night, his caretaker awoke to a burglar in his home at 1 a.m. You know where I'm going with this. Stoffel escaped again, only this time he broke into the farmer's house and even tried to get into his bedroom. And you want to know the most disrespectful part of it all? Stoffel was hand-raised by humans at a young age and imprinted on them. Meaning Stoffel had no intention of actually escaping. Nah, he was just doing it for the sport and for all the memes. We know that because Stoffel would allow himself to be caught and return back to his enclosure just so he could figure out another way to make his caretakers earn their pay.
Bro
Breaking
was
into the farmer's
bored.
house past midnight was just grade A trolling. And of course, it would be criminal to not mention that time Stoffel escaped his enclosure and entered the lion's den where he was nearly brutally mauled to death. After he recovered, the first thing Stoffel did fresh out was try to find a way back to the lions to settle the score. Stoffel would also regularly break into the lodge kitchen where he would harass staff and help himself to any food he could find.
Stoffel would be the billionaire that flings himself into the core of the sun just to feel something. That would be Stoffel.
They eventually gave him a lady badger thinking that would help him calm down.
Oh no!
What they really did was introduce the
no!
Bonnie to his Clyde as they would now try to escape together.
No!
For their size, honey badgers have relatively large brains and they make it everyone's problem. But there's one more thing about them that really makes them a menace to society, and for that you have to look at its third cousin, the Stoat. The
Oh
Stoat
god,
is
not
one of
the
smallest of all
Stoat.
Mustelids, yet they regularly put prey 10 times their size out of commission.
Stoats
They do this by relentlessly
will
chasing
frick
their
you
prey,
up.
which are usually rabbits, until the prey eventually drops to exhaustion. Only then will the Stoat deliver a devastating bite to the back of the skull. And once a Stoat locks in on its target, there isn't a force in nature that can stop it. The Stoat is so hyper-fixated that it'll even ignore rabbits that might be closer just so they can commit to pursuing its original target. That crackhead determination is not foreign to the honey badger. The only way a honey badger can fend off leopards, hyenas, and even the occasional lion is by constantly squirming, hissing, and biting until the attacker eventually decides it's not worth the calories.
That's me! That's me! That's me! I'm small. I'm small, and I'm weak, but oh my god, I will annoy you until you piss off. That's literally me! Literally me! Squirming, hissing, and crying, yes! Yes! All talk, no bite. No, I will bite. Listen, I never claimed to be somebody that could put you in the ground. I never claimed to be somebody that could beat you in a fight. But I will make you regret picking a fight with me. I will annoy you all the way down. I may not win, but you won't either.
Even if they eventually do go out of commission, you can be sure the honey badger did not go quietly. The badger's stubborn nature is probably best summed up when you
Plus, at this point in my life, anybody trying to throw hands with me, I am hardly the biggest problem that you'll have to deal with. Editor Coon, insert a picture of Helios here.
see what they do for honey. Honey badgers love breaking into beehives to eat energy-rich honeycombs. Unfortunately, that often means getting a face full of African bees, which are more aggressive and more nasty than
Not
their
the
European
bees!
cousins. But these honey weasels will continue to eat even while being actively swarmed and attacked by bees. And even though they're resistant, they're not 100% immune to bee stings. Honey badgers have been known to keep raiding the same beehive for honey until they eventually get stung to death. But honey badgers don't care. They live life balls first with no fear.
Oh, they are called honey badgers.
This willpower is how two honey badgers step to 6 young lionesses and still manage to survive. At one point, the honey badger found itself in the jaws of death, only to use its loose skin to turn around and bite the lion back. This leopard tried harassing a young baby badger, only to end up cosplaying as a cheetah once mama badger inserted herself into the conversation. Speaking of cheetahs, honey badgers have such a reputation that it's widely believed that cheetah cubs evolved to mimic their coloring to avoid confrontation with predators. A whole predatory cat, and evolution forced them to impersonate an African bush weasel just to get more respect. Hell for cheetahs, but another notch on a honey badger's chastity belt. I say chastity because they don't give a f. With the strength and durability of a wolverine, the intelligence and morale deficit of an otter, the pure coke-fueled willpower of the stoat, the honey badger is the only thing alive that can make a bowl cut intimidating. And that's gonna do it for this video, which was by far one of my most fun to make. If you want to support this channel, my Patreon's gonna be in the description. Also, like the video or suffer a honey badger vasectomy. Other than that, drink water, hug your parents, happy holidays, and see you in the next one.
Not the freaking honey badger vasectomy. Alright, well, that was why honey badgers don't fear God or lions. Jesus Christ. If there's something you'd like to see me react to, tell me in the comments, tell me on Twitch, or tell me in my Discord. Otherwise, never goodbye. It is always good later. Until next time, friends. Bye-bye.